We live in some pretty unprecedented times, and I think one of the biggest signs of that is when your local news station is telling you and teaching you how to deal with federal agents that might be coming to your door. Take a look at this.
Reminder of your rights if ICE does come to your door. According to the city, ICE needs a judge-signed warrant with your name and address to come inside. Also, you can ask the agent to show you the warrant through the window or under the door. And if there is not a valid warrant, you have the right to keep your door closed. We have more on this and the differences between a judicial and immigration warrant on our website at fox9.com.
So there you have it. If ICE comes to your door and they do not have a warrant that they can show you with a judge's signature on it, then you have the right to keep the door closed and to not let them in. The fact that this is being talked about on local news, Mike, I think is the bigger story here. What do you make of where we're at as a nation in this time in history? This is just, I'm speechless.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it reminds me a lot of like V for Vendetta, Equilibrium, or even like Star Wars with like the Empire kind of, marching around. And now we have JD Vance, who has said multiple times that ICE is going to go door to door. So that's pretty much full blown Gestapo at this point. And papers please, or let us in. So the big thing with ICE is they are not local law enforcement. Their jurisdiction is much different than a local law enforcement. And one thing that they need to enter your home as well as a vehicle is a warrant. And it needs to be a warrant signed by a judge. It can't just be like, oh, we have a warrant. Like, it needs to be officially, this is a warrant to specifically search this house or this vehicle, things like that. But as we've seen already, this hasn't stopped ICE many times. There's been several videos of cars having their windows smashed and people being pulled out of their vehicles with no warrant present. There's even a video that I just saw earlier this week. I believe it was in Minnesota where this woman comes to the door and there's like 10 ICE agents like with big assault rifles ready at the door trying to come in, and she's saying, show me the warrant. They say, we have a warrant, but they never show her a warrant. She eventually grants them permission to come in, and while they're inside the house, this one guy in particular keeps threatening her with the taser, even though she's standing back, and she keeps backing up every time they come towards her. And she's saying, look, I'm not stopping you, just show me the warrant. You said you had a warrant, show me the warrant. And not a single person presents a warrant. So this is where I have a personal fear about this kind of thing, because even if they claim they have a warrant, they're never going to the chances of them actually showing it to you are slim. Now, I think if they did have a warrant, then they should be able to produce that and go, oh, it's right here. Here you go. Let us in, or we're going to break the door down. That seems pretty reasonable to me. But I'm certain, as we've already seen, there's been lots of cases where people don't have warrants and they just do it anyway. So trying to wait on them to show you a warrant, I feel like, look, you have to ask. And I think that this is great that the news is actually giving people this advice, warning them, hey, you do have rights. Don't just open the door. Don't say, come on in, use your rights, because you need them now more than ever. And so I think that this is all great, but I do worry about the abuses that are probably still going to happen. Hopefully they won't be happening in droves. Hopefully they're not happening at all, but we've already seen them happen quite a few times, and I'm sure that's going to continue.
To all the Second Amendment people, I mean, isn't this the day that you guys have been yeehawing about for years, if not decades? I mean, the whole idea of we need our guns because we want to protect ourselves from a tyrannical government. What would you describe federal agents going door to door demanding papers? Is that not tyrannical? If that's not tyrannical, then what is? Is them shooting you in the face? Is that tyrannical? Because that happened as well. Like, at what point are we in tyranny here? Or does it not apply because it's our side and our boys and we're in charge? The precedent that this is setting is just insane to me, because a Democrat gets in power and then they keep up all of these same rules and laws and policies and all these things. I think you're going to probably be feeling a little differently about the situation. I mean, we can't even fathom what it would be like if Obama or Biden did something like this. The amount of people's heads would explode. I mean, it would be like nuclear Armageddon in the United States. Like we would like, but because it's happening under Trump, it seems acceptable, which just continues to blow my mind. But Trump has warped the psychology of our politics to such a degree that this is actually happening. It's like a bad nightmare that we just keep waking up from every single day. Chaos within the United States, chaos abroad, chaos in Venezuela, chaos in Nigeria, chaos in Gaza, chaos in Iran. There's just chaos all across the globe, thanks to the United States and within the United States. And I feel like this is exactly what he likes and what he wants. This polarization, this enemies fighting amongst themselves so they're not fighting me type of mentality. And it's pretty wild to see it unfold. But it is nice to see the local news step up. It is nice to see the governor and the mayor step up. It is nice to see citizens step up in protest. Look, this is kind of like the last kind of line of defense here, is like the local powers coming together and standing up to this federal overreach, because the federal government's not going to stop this. They want this to happen. So credit to the local Minnesota news there for informing the citizens, and credit to local law enforcement, whatever they can do as well. Of course, the federal agencies have a bit more power over the local ones. We've heard stories of people calling the cops and then being like, we can't really do anything about this. But of course, like if a crime is being committed, you would think that local law enforcement should be able to do something about this. If there's an ICE agent beating up somebody and assaulting them and punching them in the face, you would think and hope that someone could call the cops on them and be like, hey, I'm witnessing an assault. Please send a police officer or whatever here. But man, what a crazy time to be in. This feels very similar to what we went through 6 years ago now in 2020 with COVID, but it just feels like that on steroids, if we can even imagine that. But I just remember waking up every day of that year, Trump in office, and just chaos left, right, and center. Everywhere you look, we got COVID, we got the George Floyd protests, we got all these other things going on at the same time. And Trump is like, you can see him reveling in it. He's loving it. He's like basking in it. He did that whole like weird video photo shoot where he like ripped off the mask and he stood in front of the White House, like Rose Garden. That was just so strange and eerie and weird to me. That was one of those moments that I remember being like, this is not right. Something here is wrong. This man thinks he's like in a reality TV show or something. And he's the leader of the free world, or at least he's supposed to be. He's really not acting like it. But what a crazy time we're in. And 3 more years of this. Let's hope we can hang on.
I obviously agree with you 100%. This is definitely about Trump and his power trips. As we saw on January 6, 2021, he didn't want to leave office. He wanted to keep his power, and he attempted a coup pretty much, which thankfully failed. But as we've seen, that has already happened. And all the people who did those things, all the people who attacked law enforcement, all the stuff about, hey, let's not disrespect law enforcement. We have to treat our law enforcement well. They don't deserve this kind of behavior of people cussing at them or throwing snowballs. You had people like crushing and stampeding police officers, attacking them with weapons, and using even chemicals like bear spray and things like that. And one guy was even tasing an officer in the neck, which resulted in him dying the next day. And all of them, not a single one, like all of them get pardons, even the violent offenders. And many of those people who've received pardons, there's been at least a dozen or so that have already been rearrested for other criminal crimes, including like pedophile behavior. So it's just insane to me that we live in a world where these people are treated as heroes and patriots, yet people who are protesting in the streets against tyranny, those are the domestic terrorists. Make it make sense, because it's just completely void of like reality, of truth. And I think what you mentioned earlier, Emmanuel, is very true, that like this is what Trump wants. He revels in this. He wants that power. And if these protests ever turn violent, they're going to enact martial law. He's already said, literally, I believe it was since day one, that of him being inaugurated, that they've been considering the Insurrection Act. And the Insurrection Act, if imposed, allows him to use the military against our own civilians. So currently we're using the National Guard in select cities, but thankfully they don't really have too many orders to do anything. They're just kind of there to oversee and protect the ICE agents. And even then, especially in LA, out of the many soldiers that were sent, most of them did nothing. They just laid around in a headquarter building, sleeping and listening to music and whatever. So thankfully there haven't been any like severe marching orders for the National Guard. It's been pretty much theatrical so far. But I believe if the Insurrection Act gets enacted, then all that's going to change. And he's going to give them orders and things are going to get crazy fast because that also gives them lethal force. So this is, very dangerous times, very dangerous precedent. As you mentioned, I think we're flirting with fascism, although I would argue we're definitely a lot closer to it than not. And yeah, seeing this kind of thing on TV should alarm every American, no matter what side of the aisle you're on. It's ridiculous that we have to have our news agents telling you, hey, when they come to check your papers, when they come knock on your door, just know that you don't have to open the door for them, blah, blah, blah. But it really doesn't matter because, again, I also want to know what these gun-toting Second Amendment people, the don't tread on me crew, is all about, because this is the tyranny. It's taking place. And you're telling me that when they come to your door, and you're not going to have a problem with them coming inside, even if you're a U.S. citizen, you did nothing wrong, you're not harboring any illegal immigrants or anything like that. It's just crazy to think about. What if you have a friend who comes over and they're an undocumented immigrant? Do you have to hide them in the closet like a Jew during, Nazi Germany? I mean, it's just crazy to think of the times that we're living in.